Hi, this is Douglas. I'm a physical therapist and running coach bringing you another informative Healing on the Run running form correction video for hamstring pain. In this video you will see 3 examples of runners that came to see me specifically to help solve their hamstring pain. This is also referred to as high hamstring pain because it manifests at the top of the hamstring where it attaches to the pelvis. This common condition develops slowly for distance runners and can become nagging and chronic. It consists of inflammation at the attachment of the hamstring on the ischial tuberosity, or more commonly referred to as the sits bones. That is why this condition will be aggravated by sitting for long periods of time in a car or more quickly on a hard surface. There is evidence that certain modalities will help this injury resolve. This is especially true when there is a muscle imbalance and one-sided hip or pelvic misalignment, but they tend to require a layoff from running. With form adjustments, both the pain symptoms and the misalignment can self-correct. The main underlying cause for high hamstring injury is overusing your hamstring to pull your body forward when you're not engaging the core for power and movement. If you have this condition and it is not responding to strengthening and stretching and other medical treatments, you are probably a candidate for form and technique work. Once the underlying cause is corrected, this condition can often fade out quickly. Let's take a look at the before and after video clips and see what measures help these runners become pain-free without layoff or limitation. This first runner came in with hamstring pain on both sides that hurt at the attachment at the base of the pelvis. On the left side, it was accompanied with sciatic nerve pain that ran down the back of her leg. I call this high hamstring pain, and it's very common in distance runners. So let's take a look at the still shots taken at mid-stride. What is most prominent is the forward lean in the right frame and the neutral to back lean in the left frame. On the left, she is set to have to pull her torso forward, producing the force for that from the contraction of the hamstrings. Then, if we look at her in mid-stance, the effect of this is more obvious. Dropping a vertical line down from the shoulder, you can see that her body mass is behind the planted foot on the left and falls through the midfoot on the right, which is what we're looking for in terms of decreasing the need for hamstring contraction as well as minimum impact stress. The visual effect of this is a fluid sense of rolling along the ground on the right and a staccato step, step, step effect on the left. This rolling along creates a lot of buoyancy. The step, step, step strategy creates more resistance and pounding. Now let's look and see what the pelvis is doing in slow motion. You see a more flowing motion on the right and a holding and lack of movement on the left. As with so many running injuries, the mobility of the pelvis is key to the natural biomechanics. One of the prerequisites for full pelvic mobility is that the pelvis be aligned underneath the torso with the chest and shoulders relaxed and engaged in a forward lean. The second runner is new to running and was immediately hampered by high hamstring pain on the left. In his case, there is good pelvic mobility, but there are basically 3 things that needed adjustment, which resolved his pain quickly. Looking at the still screen at the image on the left, he is going into full extension of the forward leg at the knee. His pelvis is held back and his chest is pushed out forward with arms and head pulled back. This has him set up to pull a large center of mass forward by pawing the ground with his lead leg, a job that is delegated to and overworks the hamstring. With the slow motion, I want to draw your attention to 2 things. One is the forefoot strike on the left of your screen and the midfoot strike on the right. This forefoot strike pattern is a setup for other overuse injuries such as plantar fasciitis, Achilles pain, and a variety of calf issues. The second thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the scissoring stride on the left frame, which again favors an already overburdened hamstring, as compared to the engagement of his hip flexors on the right, which gives him the advantage of powering from the core rather than pulling through on the ground and engaging peripheral leg muscles. Now, taking a look at the third runner, she came to see me with long-standing pain, again in the high hamstring, very painful and getting in the way of her racing goals and her enjoyment of the sport. Looking at the still shot of mid-stride, you can see on the left that her back is arched, her pelvis is held in an anterior position, placing her hip joints back, and her chest and shoulders are held up and back. In addition, she is leaning forward at the waist. This postural positioning doesn't allow the core muscles of the body to engage and drive the hips and thighs. On the right, she is aligned with the pelvis under the torso, giving the latissimus muscle on the back and oblique abdominals a chance to engage, and also allows for the hip flexors to elongate and engage. Moving to the next set of stills, mid-stance, you can see that her stance foot is well in front of her hips and pelvis. The result is for her to paw the ground for force production, resulting in increased contraction of the hamstrings. In addition, this pulling herself forward off the planted foot, while creating increased effort, in fact slows her down. In the right hand frame, the stance foot spends less time on the ground, and with the pelvis underneath her and engaged muscularly from the core, she's able to shorten her stride, allowing for a faster turnover. This results in more air time and less stance time. And again, with the slow motion, you can see the freedom of movement of the pelvis and the improved torso-pelvic alignment that makes that possible. In summary, the tightness in the hamstring in distance runners is often attributed to playing too large a role in force production. This is a strategy adopted when the core of the body doesn't play its role. This can most often be attributed to poor postural alignment and positioning of the body's center of mass behind the stance foot at foot strike. Thankfully, this can be eliminated by making the necessary corrections without disrupting your training. And as is true with all corrections made to overcome injury, you will also become a more efficient runner as well. To work with running injuries using the Healing on the Run approach, it is best to consult with a professional who has an understanding of the injury, your running form, and your current training and goals. I work out of Lafayette, Colorado, and can be contacted through my website at radiantrunning.com.